Good evening. The City of Boston Zoning Board of Appeals hearing for January 19th, 2023 is now in session. This hearing is being conducted in accordance with the applicable provisions of the open meeting law, including the updated provisions enacted by the legislature regarding virtual hearings. The new law allows the board to continue its practice of holding virtual hearings through March 2023. This hearing of the board is being held virtually via the Zoom webinar event platform. This hearing is also being recorded. In order to ensure this hearing of the board is open to the public, members of the public may access the hearing through telephone and video conferencing. The information for connecting to this hearing is listed on today's hearing agenda, which is posted on the public notices page of the city's website, boston.gov. Members of the public will enter the virtual hearing as attendees, which means you will not see yourself on the screen and you will be muted throughout unless administratively unmuted when asked to comment. Board members, applicants, and their attorneys or representatives will participate in the hearing as panelists, and they will appear alongside the presentation materials when speaking. Panelists are strongly encouraged to keep video on while presenting to the board. As with our in-person meetings, comments in support will be followed by comments in opposition. The order of comments is as followed: elected officials, representatives of elected officials, and members of the public. The chair may limit the number of people called upon to offer comment and the time for commenting as time constraints require. For that reason, the board prefers to hear from members of the public who are most impacted by a project, that is, those individuals who live closest to the project. If you wish to comment on an appeal, please click the raise hand button along the bottom of your screen in the Zoom webinar platform. Click it again and your hand should go down. When the host sees your hand, you will receive a request to unmute yourself. Select yes, and you should be able to talk. If you are connected to the hearing by telephone, please press *9 to raise and lower your hand. You must press *6 to unmute yourself after you receive the request from the host. Those called upon to comment will be asked to state their name and address first before they provide their comment. In the interest of time, and to ensure that you have enough time to do so, please raise your hand as soon as Mr. Aiken reads the address into the record. Do not raise your hand before the relevant address is called, or the meeting host will not know to call on you at the appropriate time. Those instructions will be repeated throughout the hearing. Okay, Mr. Aiken.
Here.
Ms. Better-Brazza.
Present.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Aiken.
Okay, we have the hearings for 5 o'clock. Madam Chair, we have one request for a hearing to be deferred for 349 Savin Hill. Is anyone here for that case? Yeah, is that?
No one has checked in for.
No one has checked in.
104,
okay.
106.
Should I read the case in and then they requested a denial without prejudice. Madam Chair, this is case BOA 1344299, 349 Savin Hill. And the refusal is for Article 65, Section 65.8 floor area ratio, and Article 65, Section 9 side yard insufficient, and they've requested denial without prejudice for this.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to put forward a motion of denial without prejudice.
Thank you. Ms. Better-Brazza.
Yes.
Mr. Aiken.
Yes.
Chair also votes yes. Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, the next case is BOA 1363941. The address is 104 to 106 Trenton Street. This is Article 9, Section 2, non-conforming use change. And Article 53, Section 8, use is forbidden for a local retail convenience store. This is to change use from a dry cleaner to a convenience store. Is anyone here? And if so, please state your name and address for the record.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Attorney Ryan Spitz with Adams and Moranci, business address of 168 8th Street, South Boston. We're here today actually asking a request for a short deferral on this matter. We're meeting with the civic group of Eagle Hill for a second time next week on the 25th. And a vote will be casted whether in support or opposition for our proposal in front of us. So again, we're here just to request a short deferral.
All right, thank you. May I have a motion?
Madam
Motion
Chair,
to-
like, oh, go ahead, David.
Motion to defer.
Thank you. Ms. Better Baraza.
I second, present. I mean, sorry, yes.
Thank you. I know, Mr. Aiken.
Yes.
Okay, Chair also says yes, motion carries. Good luck. Thank
Can I
you.
just have a clarification? Do we have to
Yes.
second the motion in the 3-member?
Oh, yeah, thank you.
That's, okay.
Tom.
We have to second a motion, right?
Yes,
Tom,
you
do
can
we-
still be seconding the motions. That's all right. We'll,
Okay, sorry.
Okay, thanks.
And there's
Sorry,
a,
I'm like repeating your names like 5 times.
there's a date of February 16th for that.
Great,
At
thank
5
you.
5 p.m. Yes.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
The next case is BOA 1391407. It looks like this has a companion case also as BOA 1408249. The first one, 1391407, address is 7 Amory Street. And this is to confirm occupancy as a 1-family house, extend living space into the basement, increase width of the existing dormer beyond 8 feet, and complete interior renovations. There are 4 refusals, all Article 62, Section 19, Neighborhood Design Overlay District. Design review, neighborhood design overlay review requirement. Section 25, roof structure restrictions, and Section 8, floor area ratio excessive. The second companion case is to confirm occupancy as a 1-family row house dwelling and then renovate the entire building as per plans. Same description of the work. There are refusals under Article Section 19, the neighborhood design overlay district review, conformity of building alignment, Section 25 roof structure restrictions, 3 Section 8 refusals. The amount of lot area required, the floor area ratio that's excessive, and rear yard insufficient. Is anyone here on behalf of the case? If so, please announce yourself and have your name and address for the record.
Could I ask a quick question either for the applicant or for Mr. Broom? Is it Amory or Armory Street in Charlestown?
Armory. Should be Armory.
Thank you.
Armory.
So it's just written incorrectly.
Marie and JP.
yeah.
Is it ARMORY?
Yep, thank you. Are
Okay,
you here to speak?
yes,
on this
yes,
project?
yes. My name is Nancy Lowe, address 50 Franklin Street. Joining me is the property owner, George, and our architect, Stephen Kinsella. They should be also on the call as panelists.
Can you walk us through the violations and what you're proposing?
Sure. So both properties are side by side. It's in a historic, it's a historic area. It's not a landmark area, but it's a historic area in Charlestown. The buildings are 2.5 stories. They're one family. They have been there for over 100 years as a 1-family buildings. We had the local building inspector come out to confirm that both buildings are 1-family units. And Mr. George plans to rehab both buildings and provide them, for housing in the Charlestown area. They both need a lot of work. And he's, like stated earlier, they're going to expand the living space in the basement. Number 7 is to increase the width of the dormer. They're not expanding any of the footprint. And like I said earlier, they are existing structures and basically it's a renovation project.
Thank you. And can you confirm after completion, they'll both continue to be one families?
Yes,
They will be. Yes.
Right. And what type of living space in the basements?
It's a living room. What we're doing is want to expand it into the basement, and then we're gonna have a second means of egress out the back from the basement. It's a living room and a bathroom, a half bath, if I remember correctly.
Okay, great. Ms. Badaraza, I know you'll have some questions on height, windows, et cetera, so I'll ask you if you've reviewed the plans.
I have reviewed the plans and the project's pretty straightforward. I have no further questions.
Great, thank you. Mr. Aiken, any questions?
No, I do not have any questions on this.
Great, thank you. In that case, I will take public testimony. Is there anyone here to speak in support or opposition? Okay, that sounds like are you
sorry,
speaking?
no,
Mr. Green?
I'm the Madam Chair and members of the board, Sean Breen from the Office of Neighborhood Services. On behalf of the mayor, our office would like to defer judgment to the board at this time. Some background information. The applicant posted subcommittee flyers, and our office received no feedback from residents.
All right, thank you. Any other testimony? Francis?
If I can, I received an email from the the owner of 9 Armory Street in support. I thought that maybe that had been submitted, but probably not. But I could send that in tomorrow if you want.
Mr. Aiken, do you have anything on file?
Yes, Madam Chair. Yes, thank you. We do have that. We do have that letter in support, and that's the only letter that's been received.
Okay.
Great.
The file.
Okay, with that, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, can I also request if we have a BPDA on the record?
Oh,
commenting
yes,
on the
sorry about
project?
that. Yes, is there anyone from BPDA?
Madam Chair, this is Tom. I don't think we have it over here. We might. I can't tell if Jeffrey on there is Jeff Hampton or not.
Okay,
But I think we have. Do we have a copy of the file?
Madam Chair, we do have the recommendation. It's to recommends to approve with design review for attention to the dormer size and its profile.
great. Does that answer your question?
Yes, I would be asking for each project if there was a BPDA recommendation.
Excellent. Then I'll be happy to try to find it and read it then.
Okay, thank you.
May I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to put forward a motion to approve with BPDA design review, paying special attention to the dormer and profile.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. There are only 3 of us, so. Ms. Badaraza,
Yes,
Mr. Aiken,
Yes, it seems like it's in conformance with sort of the overall neighborhood character.
thank you. The chair also votes yes, the motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the
Next
next case is BOA 1417588. The address is 101 Baldwin Street. This is to amend a prior alteration permit, phase 2 of a newly proposed roof plan per plan submitted. This is an Article 62, Section 25 roof structure restriction violation. Would the applicant please state their name and address for the record?
Hello, my name is Sean Tracy from 101 Baldwin Street. I'm here with my wife, Isabel Green. Also on the call is Paris Bunkers, our architect, and Ben O'Sullivan Pierce from Fresh Start Contracting.
Excellent. Can you just let us know briefly what your proposal entails?
Yeah, so I think if we head down to page 8, it kind of gives the best view. So what we're looking to do is add a front and back dormer. So yeah, maybe next page down. Perfect. Yep. So currently, we're using the space as just like a home office and some storage, but with the rear and front dormer, it would create 560 square feet of livable space. So we're looking to add 2 bedrooms and a bathroom up there to accommodate our growing family. And yeah, design wise, we tried to keep it consistent with kind of look and feel of similar dormers in the neighborhood. And yeah, that's kind of the idea at a high level.
Okay, And Mr. Tracy, the violation talks about roof structure and it mentions that you're seeking a proposed roof. So is that related or different or it's part of it?
I
part of the
believe the
focus.
violation is just like if we're changing the roof structure at all, to go to this
Okay.
plan. I guess
Got
as
it.
we're adding the dormers, that's
Great.
violation.
Ms. Better Baraza, do you have any questions about the plans?
Madam Chair, the plans are adequate. I did have a question regarding what was the height of the basement,
The height of the basement.
correct? From the floor to the ceiling.
Uh, So I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head.
Is your architect here?
Paris or Ben, might you know?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm just scanning through the plans. This is Ben from Fresh Start Contracting. The height is going to be finished. Well, it's going to be 7 feet finished down there.
Okay, great. Thank you. No further questions.
You and just to read BPDA's recommendation is approval with proviso. The plans be submitted to the agency for design review with special attention to materials, addition, and dormer size and profile. Mr. Aiken, any questions?
No, but Madam Chair, we have 2 letters of support and one that was in opposition, but only if there was a setback violation, and that's not the case here. So there's 2 letters of support and one opposition.
Great, thank you.
have no
May I have public testimony?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Sean Breen from the Office of Neighborhood Services. On behalf of the mayor, our office would like to defer judgment to the board at this time. Some background information on the community process. The applicant posted subcommittee flyers and we received 2 letters in favor and 1 in opposition. Residents in favor wanted to see the house renovated. The 1 letter we got in opposition was based off of opposition to any variances granted for a rear yard setback. So.
Got it, thank you. Any other testimony? Hearing
Madam
none.
Chair,
Oops, go
sorry.
ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry,
Oh, I have 1 raised hand.
great.
Madam
Can
Chair.
you-
Yes.
can we hear from them?
Now. Paris, you've been unmuted. If you can state your name and address for the record, please. Paris?
There, just figured it out. Sorry, had to grab a sleeping baby.
Just state your name and address for the record, please.
Paris Bunkers. And
And
I am
the
there.
address.
Ms. Bunkers, what's your address and are you here to speak in support or opposition?
My address is 314 Bunker Hill Street, and I am in favor for the building. I'm not sure. I'm just the architect for the building. I'm not trying to do a public comment. Sorry. I was
okay, thank you.
when they asked for the height of the basement.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Sorry
right.
about that, but that's all, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. With that, may I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve with the BPD proviso that the plans are submitted for design review with attention to materials, the addition and dormer size and profile.
I second.
Great.
Baraza, second.
Great. Ms. Better Baraza,
Yes.
Mr. Aiken,
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion carries. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
The next case is BOA 1396700, and this is for 140 Tremont Street. This is for removing the proviso only that was granted to the prior petitioner. Requiring existing fast food restaurant use layout will stay the same as a fast food burger restaurant. There will be branding changes. The Article 6, Section 4, other protectional conditions remove the proviso as the violation.
Great. And just so BPDA's recommendation is approval. Since there are no plan changes, I'll just ask if board members have any general questions.
I just want to make sure if there's anyone here from the applicant, they have a chance to.
Oh, yeah,
introduce
thank you. Sorry.
Their name and address into the record.
Jumped the gun. Sorry.
Yes, my name is Yusuf Ibrahim. I live at 26 Highland Ave in Somerville.
Great. And can you go ahead?
If I could, I'm Bernard Shadray, and Shadray, 88 Broad Street, Suite 103, Boston, Mass, representing Mr. Ibrahim. And what this is basically one restaurant operation that currently is existing at 131 Tremont Street. They've lost their lease. U-Burger, which is the original applicant under the original Board of Appeals case, had the proviso in it that it was for that user only, is giving up their lease. And I'm not sure if they're going out of business or exactly what they're doing, but we would be taking over the space. And it would be the existing space for the existing hours of operation and the existing occupancy, with virtually no changes other than a few minor kitchen changes and things like that. All of the permits are in the process of being applied for, and including the common victualer's license, which is pending this hearing, of course. One of the questions we have is whether or not it is still applicable that January 31st is actually the hearing where the decision gets decided. And this subcommittee recommends to the board on January 31st, or whether or not.
That's correct, unless Tom wants to correct me.
No, that's correct, Madam Chair. We just, the subcommittee makes a recommendation, the full board adopts it. We don't technically make the applicants attend the 31st hearing, usually, so they can feel free to not attend if they don't want to.
I see. Okay. But they could, my client, for example, could attend.
Of course.
He could attend, but we just read all of the recommendations together, so we would not be asking individual applicants to speak.
No testimony. We also have submitted certain letters of approval and support.
We'll get to those. Yeah.
Okay, and so this basically is just moving one similar restaurant to another restaurant. It's both eat in and take out.
Great. Any questions from the board?
No questions.
No, Madam Chair, I don't have any questions, and there are a few letters of support here, including a letter from Councilor Flynn.
Great, thank you. With that, I'll take public testimony. Is there anyone here to speak in support or opposition of the project?
Good afternoon, Madam Chairwoman Sherry Dong, and members of the board. My name is Chulan Huang. I'm from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. There was no abutters meetings hosted for this proposal, but I did have them meet with the Downtown Residents Association and the Downtown Boston BID, at which they have secured a letter of support from both. At this time, we would like to defer judgment to the board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other testimony?
Madam Chair, I do have one raised hand.
Great, let's hear from them.
Awesome. Ed, you've been unmuted. If you can state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Laura Toledano, and I'm here from Council President Flynn's office. Council President Flynn would like to go in record and support based on feedback from neighbors and the proponent's attention to issue of public safety, trash removal, operating hours, and other quality of life issues. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
That's all, Madam Chair.
Great. May I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to put forward a motion of approval.
Can I have a second?
Yes.
Great. Ms. Bedwaraza?
Yes.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes, this seems just fine.
Chair votes yes, motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Okay, the next case is BOA 1405814. The address is 647 Boylston Street. This is for interior renovation of an existing commercial business tenant space. Scope of work includes minor interior demolition, new walls, doors, millwork, new lighting, new plumbing for a coffee shop use. No food will be prepared on site. The violation is Article 8, Section 3 for a conditional use. They're applying for a coffee shop, which is a conditional use. Would the applicant please announce themselves and read their name and address in for the record? Is anyone here on behalf of 647 Boylston Street?
Yes,
Oh,
Anders?
yes, sorry, I was on mute. Good evening, everyone. My name's Anders Cans of 647 Boylston Street.
Great. Can you tell us a little bit about your proposal?
Absolutely. So we're originally a New York-based company. We actually have two locations operating in Boston already. This was our first change of use in terms of real estate. So we previously have only taken over existing F&Bs. So this is kind of a new process for us. So essentially we're doing a takeout only cafe at 647 Boylston Street. It's very, very similar to what we're doing already on Cambridge and Charles Streets. Again, no food prepared on site. We're using local vendors, all third party delivered and served on the day itself. We've kind of organized daily trash pickup. We're working with the landlord, obviously, to store the trash in a existing space until the pickup happens. So no entry or exit from vendors from the street side of things as well.
Great. What's the current use, or what's the use you're taking?
It was a GameStop.
A GameStop, okay. Ms. Barbarazza, any questions on the plans?
Madam Chair, the plans are adequate.
Thank you. Any other questions from members of the board?
No, but Madam Chair and Ms. Barbarazza, there's a letter of non-opposition from the Neighborhood Association in the Back Bay, and the BPDA does not seek any further review.
Okay, thank you. With that, I'll take public testimony.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. At this time, the Mayor's Office would like to defer to the judgment of this board. Some back information on the community process. Our office is unaware of any concerns from neighbors and abutters. And as Mr. Secretary mentioned, NAB submitted a letter in non-opposition to this proposal. With that, we defer to the judgment of the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Newman.
Madam
Any
Chair, I have no raised hands.
Great, thank you. May I have a motion?
Madam Chair, you read the BPDA recommendation?
Yes, it was a straight out
to approve.
approval.
Okay, that's what I thought. I'd like to put forward a motion of approval.
May I have a second?
Yes.
Ms. Barbarazza,
Yes.
Mr. Aiken,
Yes, seems like a use consistent with the neighborhood.
Chair also votes yes, motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Okay, the next case is BOA 1349367. The address is 6 Park Lane. This is the build out of an existing third floor space to include a new dormer and an exterior deck. There are 4 violations under Article 55, all Section 9. Floor area ratio excessive, building height is excessive in number of stories, front yard insufficient and rear yard insufficient. Would the applicant please state their name and address?
Is the applicant for
Papers?
6 Park Lane present?
Yes, so Papers has checked in and Chris also. Chris?
He's muted.
Yeah, he's a panelist. He can unmute himself.
Yeah, he can.
Chris Hosford, architect, office 116 St. Vital Street, Boston. So the project is an attic build out of an existing space. The nonconformities are existing. There's no new nonconformities. One correction is on the original application, there was a dormer that's been removed. So the whole renovations within the existing volume of the house.
Thank you. Ms. Barbarazza, have you had a chance to review the plans?
Yes, I've reviewed the plans and the drawings are adequate.
Thank you. And just BPDA's recommendation for your reference is approval with design review. Mr. Aiken, any questions?
No, I would just like to hear if any community process, but I don't have any questions.
Okay, great.
I can speak to that. I mean, no one came to.
Well, can I ask, is ONS present to speak on that?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, so we'll have ONS when we do the testimony speak to that. So with that, I'll hear from Mr. Newman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. Our office facilitated a butters meeting on October 6th of 2022. This project moved swiftly through the community process, managing to gain support from direct abutters and the zoning subcommittee of the Jamaica Plain Neighborhood Council. At this time, the Mayor's Office like to defer to the judgment of this board. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other testimony in support or opposition?
I do not have any raised hands, Madam Chair.
Thank you. With that, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, go ahead, David.
A motion to approve with BPDA design review.
May I have a second?
I second that.
Thank you. Ms. Better Baraza,
Yes.
Mr. Aiken.
Yes.
Chair also votes yes. Motion carries. Good luck.
Okay, we'll move on to BOA 1359736. The address is 1236 to 1238 Dorchester Avenue. This is for extending, let's see, this project was approved by the licensing board and they extended the patio into the private parking lot with approval of the landlord in June of 2020 and seeking permanent approval to increase capacity from 40 to 70 people. The violation is Article 65, Section 41. It's related to off-street parking and loading and
Sorry,
accessible
can I interrupt?
accessible routes.
Did we skip over 349? Oh, no, they deferred. Sorry, my bad. Go ahead.
Correct. That's it. So the applicant can provide their name and address and tell us a little bit about this. Appreciate it.
Mitchell Hayes of 30 Temple Place in Framingham.
Great. Can you walk us through?
Yes, in June 2020, when we reopened from the pandemic, we had a small 40-seat patio, which was not quite enough in order to be able to let us survive that terrible time for restaurants. So with the approval of the temporary, like the licensing board, we built an expanded temporary patio. And we're looking to now keep that area opening up to 78 seats total, which is what we've been able to do for the last 3 years. We have a unanimous approval from the Columbia 7 Hill Civic Association, along with support from City Councilor Baker. It's a area that we now use to do fundraisers, to host community events, and we just would like to be able to continue to do so.
Great. Thank you. Are there any questions from the board?
I do just have just a clarification. I'm trying to locate the outdoor kind of expansion. Is it really looking at the corner to the rear?
If you follow the building line on the right-hand side of the indoors and go straight up, to the left of that dashed line was our old patio. To the right that extends into the parking lot is the new section.
Okay. Do you lose any parking spaces in that expansion?
Yes. And that's, I think, why the violation was there. We had 19 spaces, including one handicap before the pandemic. Ever since we did build this, we have 16 spaces, including one handicap.
Okay, perfect. Okay, no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? All right, great. With that, may I have public testimony?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. At this time, the Mayor's Office like to defer to the judgment of the board. As you heard from the applicant, they went through a community process securing support from the local civic association for that area, the Columbia 7 Hill Civic Group. We're unaware of any concerns from the neighborhood. The loss of parking seemed minimal in the eyes of many residents. So with that, we defer to the judgment of the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other testimony?
No raised hands, Madam Chair.
Okay, and BPDA recommendation is approval. With that, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I just have one question first for the applicant.
Sure.
Can I just confirm that all the accessible routes are still there and that tables will be on accessible routes?
Yes.
Thank you.
Following that, do you have screening in the periphery and how tall is that?
There is a barrier outside of all of the patio. It's the same height as it was before. I don't have the exact dimensions. It probably is on those plans. I would guess around 7 feet.
It's a 6-foot fencing.
Or 6
and
foot,
bushes.
okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, with that, may I have a motion?
with that, I'd like to put forward a motion of approval.
May I have
yeah.
oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
May I have
No,
a
go ahead.
second?
Yes.
Ms. Better Baraza,
Yes.
Mr. Aiken.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion carries. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Okay, the next case is BOA 1396190. The address is 302 to 316 Bowden Street. This is to remove the proviso from the prior petitioner. That is the only violation. Is the applicant here, and can they announce their name and address, please?
He is logged in. Wayne? Wayne?
Hi, Wayne, can you unmute yourself? Mr. Atkinson? He's here but muted.
I keep asking.
Can you unmute yourself, Mr. Atkinson?
Hello?
Yes.
For some reason, I'm not able to hear anyone.
Can you hear us now? Mr. Atkinson? All right, it looks like he's having technical issues.
I think we can table this and come back to it.
Yeah, why don't we move forward, and then hopefully maybe he can log off and log back on.
We'll give them a shot before we get to the rediscussions.
Yep.
Okay, the next case is BOA 1363414. The address is 132 to 138 Park Street. This is to add a beauty salon and an existing beauty supply at 1530 Dorchester Avenue. Not sure the address discrepancy. And this is for a conditional use under Article 65, Section 8 for a beauty salon use. As the applicant here, can you provide your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, I am here. Hi, my name is.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Nadej Marcelin. So it was a beauty supply before, and I'm planning
Can you
on
put your
having a
address
beauty
into the
salon.
record? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Ms. Marcelin, can you put your name, your address into the record?
On my address, 1530 Dorchester Ave.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
1530 Dorchester Ave, 38. Yes. So it's it was a beauty supply before, and then we are putting a beauty salon in the space. It's to change of occupancy.
Okay. Are there any questions from the board?
Not at this time.
I did review the drawings, and I just had a concern of accessibility. I mean, it's, with zoning, we're not really triggering accessibility, but I just wanted to point out that if there's a possibility in the space planning, if you don't separate the uses to allow for anyone to access your service. So that it's mostly a comment.
Do you mean about the shampoo station and the hair on the front and the back?
Yes, I'm just making an observation that it's not currently accessible, those uses, and that I would just recommend you just work out the plan a little bit to ensure that your users can have access to those different stations.
The good thing now is like for wash hair, normally they have the portable stuff that
Perfect.
Myself, I'm doing hair salon, and I use I do home service too. So I really take care of handicap, like everybody. So it's a very good suggestion, but we do have portable stuff.
Okay, perfect.
to
And
help everybody.
similar to your manicure, the ability that one can still have a manicure in a hair station. Mhm.
Yes.
Okay, so
stop.
it's just a comment.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, I'll open it up to testimony.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. At this time, the Mayor's Office would like to defer to the judgment of this board. Our office had the applicant flyer abutters. We did not receive any concerns from the neighborhood. They also met with the Fields Corner Civic Association, where they received support for this proposal. With that, we defer to the judgment of this board. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any other testimony?
Madam Chair, I do have one raised hand. Ashley? You've been unmuted. If you can state your name and address for the record, please. Ashley?
Hello?
Hi. State your name and address for the record, please.
So this is for 312 to 316 Bowden Street.
She's late. Sorry, she's the
I'm
liaison.
the liaison. I'm
for
not the applicant.
Dorchester. So
Oh, okay.
Ashley is looking forward to testifying for Bowden Street. Ashley, we've just jumped ahead to a different one. We'll be circling back for Bowden.
Thank you. With that, is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor or in support or opposition to this proposal? Okay, hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I do have two questions
Yes,
for the
please.
applicant. One is this, are you keeping a beauty supply and adding a salon or changing from a supply to a salon?
Usually a beauty salon, we do have retail. So therefore, it's already a beauty supply because we do have products to sell to customers. Therefore, it's if I can say that, we still gonna have products for consumers to have, yes.
Okay, thank you. And then is the address 1530 Dorchester Ave or 132 to 138 Park Street?
It's registered by the landlord and the owner when I went to the Denton must have that the address, but for like for business purposes, it's 1530 Dorchester Ave, but it's 134. That's how it's registered in the city, the space.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions before we take a motion? All right, with that, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to put forward a motion of approval.
May I have a second?
Second,
Ms. Barbarazza,
Yes.
Mr. Aiken,
yes, it appears to be a compatible use.
Chair also votes yes, motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, BOA 1381353. The address is 301 Adams Street. This is to remove a proviso that was granted to the prior petitioner. Article 6, Section 4, granted to the petitioner, the prior petitioner only for the conditional use. Is the applicant here? Can they provide their name and address, please?
Hello,
Yes,
do you hear me?
we sure can. Can you provide your name and address for the record, and then just tell us a little bit about your plans?
Yes, my name is Manuel De Rosa, 301 Adams Street. So I just about this business. Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, everything is gonna keep the same with the old owner. So I just want to change the provision to put on my name.
So are you changing the use? It looks like An Hong used to be there, the Vietnamese restaurant, or?
No, everything is the same. I'm not gonna change anything.
Okay, I see. Any other questions from the board?
No questions for me.
Mr. Aiken, any questions?
No.
Okay, with that, I will take public testimony.
I have no raised hands, Madam Chair.
Okay, with that, I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve?
I second.
Thank you. Ms. Barbarazza,
Yes.
Mr. Aiken.
Yes.
Chair also votes yes, motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, the next case is BOA 1393784. This is to create a bedroom, 45 Cedar Street in Dorchester. This is to create a bedroom by installing a window well and window as per the plan in the lower level, which is at grade. This triggers an Article 65, Section 9, floor area ratio excessive violation. Can the applicant please read their name and address into the record?
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the board. I'm Robert Nichols here for 45 Cedar Grove Street in Dorchester. And just to clarify, we actually did get a variance for the FAR But there was a proviso on there that the living space in the lower level would not allow a bedroom. So we came back to remove the proviso. My apologies, when we re-pulled the permit, we forgot to include that initially.
Sorry, so you want to include a bedroom in the basement? Is that what you're saying?
Correct. And I think it's important to note the basement level, lower levels at grade for this property. So, you know, when you park in the driveway, you walk directly into the house right at street level. And the ceiling height in there is over 8 feet as well. And when we purchased the property, you actually had 2 bedrooms in the lower level, but we did the 3rd story addition. And so in doing so, you know, we got the FAR increased with the prior variance, but again, wanted to include the lower level and have a bedroom down there as well.
Great, thank you. Ms. Better Baraza, have you reviewed the plans?
Yes, I reviewed the drawings and they're adequate and it's fine.
Thank you. Mr. Aiken, any questions?
No, so I think, can they just clarify? So the proviso was in a prior decision from the board?
Yes,
at
that's
an earlier
correct.
time.
Yes, yep.
And can you explain, I guess, why that, do you have some history? Was there a process that resulted in that being put in there?
No, I'll be honest. I didn't even think to ask to not have it put in. It was at the end of the hearing, and it was suggested that the proviso be added. I think by default, maybe because it wasn't clearly communicated that the lower level was at grade. So I think it was just a recommendation at the time.
Yes, Mr. Aiken, that's more of a historical matter from the board and basement bedrooms.
Right. Yes.
But I mean, typically, they just want to, the previous board just wanted to make sure that there was enough light and air to habitable rooms, that you're not sleeping in dungeons. But I think the drawings that I reviewed show it completely at grade, that basement level. So I don't see any issues with it.
Yep.
Thank you. With that, may I have a testimony in support or opposition?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. At this time, the Mayor's Office would like to defer to the judgment of the board. During the community process, neighbors expressed support for this proposal. We did have one person allege, though, that work had already been done in the basement. Still, like I said before, butters were in support, and they went on to the local civic association, which I believe is Cedar Grove, and received their support as well. With that, we defer to the judgment of the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Francis, anyone else?
Nope, there are no raised hands, Madam Chair.
Great. And the BPDA recommendation for your reference is approval. Any other questions from the board? Hearing none, may I have a motion?
I'd like to put forward a motion of approval.
May I have a second?
Yes.
Ms. Better Baraza,
Yes.
Mr. Aiken.
Yes.
Chair also votes yes, motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Okay, the next is BOA 1411481. The address is 1724 to 1740 Dorchester Avenue. This is removing a previous proviso. That's under Article 6, Section 4. Would the applicant please provide their name and address and describe the change?
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Sedena Kiros, and I'm here with my husband, Stefano Quarissima, as well as Mike Folan, who is an abutter and the president of the St. Mark's Civic Association. We are the new owners, and we would like to remove the proviso of the previous restaurant, Zia Jana's, to open our new restaurant, Via Canucha.
Got it. I'm assuming no changes to interiors, et cetera, correct?
No.
All right. So I won't ask about plans. Any other questions from the board?
This is for 1724. In terms of the basement, what's the height?
It's actually 1739, but the landlord owns 1724 to 1740, but then the restaurant is at 1739.
Okay.
Understood.
For the basement level, I think if my memory is correct, I think the heights were very low. Can you just remind me what the height was for the basement?
It's 8.5 feet. It's pretty
almost
high.
9 feet tall.
9 feet tall.
9 feet tall, okay. And what's happening in the basement?
Um,
Hi, ma'am. My name is Stefano. So in the basement, basically was already approved for the previous restaurant has a prep area because the kitchen upstairs is really small. So the only scene that we have available for the prep area was downstairs. And that's it. That's all we have. And the rest is storage.
Okay, okay, great, thank you.
Welcome.
Any other questions from the board? All right, hearing none, may I have a public testimony?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. This time, the Mayor's Office would like to defer to the judgment of the board. This applicant went through a community process meeting with St. Mark's Civic Association where they received their support. They also were approved by the licensing board as well. Our office is unaware of any concerns at this time. With that, we defer to the judgment of the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Newman. Is there anyone else to speak in support or opposition?
Hi, my name is Michael Folan. I'm an abutter and I'm also president of the St. Mark's Civic Association. I'd like to go in strong support. Thank you.
No raised hands, Madam Chair.
Excellent, thank you. With that, may I have a motion from the board?
Madam Chair, I'd like to put forward a motion of approval with a proviso that there'll be no building code violation at the basement.
Is there a second?
Yes, I'll second that.
Great, the chair also votes yes. Motion carries with that proviso. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next case is BOA 1395268. The address is 1017 River Street, and this is in Hyde Park. This is seeking to change the occupancy to offices for Mothers for Justice and Equality. No work will be done. Existing conditions remain. This is Article 69, Section 8. This is a forbidden use. Would the applicant please announce their name and record and address and describe the project?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Attorney Jeff Drago with Drago and Toscano with the business address of 11 Beacon Street. Here on behalf of the Mothers for Justice and Equality and 1017 River Street. With me on the call as well to answer any questions is the founder and president, Mona Lisa Smith of Mothers for Justice and Equality. As was mentioned, the proposal is we're seeking to change the occupancy from residential to offices for this group. Just by way of background, the Mothers for Equality and Justice is a nonprofit. They purchased this property to use it for administrative offices and to have some of their programming that might come out of there. Their main office is at 2201 Washington Street in Boston. So this would be a satellite office for administration. The proposal does not include, as was mentioned, there's no changes to the existing structure. This historically has been used as commercial space. There's medical offices used out of here and a constable's office prior to them purchasing it, just was never zoned properly. The Mothers for Justice and Equality is a nonprofit, as was mentioned. Their mission is to end neighborhood violence by empowering both mothers and youth. So they run a lot of education and training programs. This, however, would be administrative office only. The layout that we're looking at is existing floor plans, and that would house at the lower level would be the break room, offices, bathroom, and some storage and mechanical space. This is on the first floor. Will include a waiting room, conference room, office, sitting area, kitchen, and bath. On the second floor, additional offices, sunroom and bathroom. And on the third floor, offices and storage. So this would all be converted for administrative office and meeting rooms. We did get the support of the Hyde Park Neighborhood Association through our meeting process as well. We're here to answer any questions that the board may have.
Great. And was the most recent previous use also some sort of non-conforming business type use?
From what we could see, yeah, Madam Chair, it was always like medical office. There is parking. This falls on the corner of River Street and Metropolitan Ave. There is an existing driveway that can house, 2 to 4 spaces. It goes around the back. There'd be about 4 to 5 staff members at any given time at the site.
Got it. Any questions about the plans, Ms. Better Brazza?
No, the plans are adequate. No questions.
Thank you. Mr. Aiken, any questions?
I do have a question. Could you just describe a little bit more some of the other uses that are nearby? Are there other office
So
uses like this?
Yeah, it's predominantly residential, although in the immediate area, it is a 2F 5,000 zone. As you go down River Street, there are more storefronts and commercial and larger apartment style commercial buildings, but the immediate area is residential.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. May I hear public testimony?
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. This is Danielle Fonseca with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. I conducted an abutters meeting for this project on October 20th of 2022. The abutters that were in attendance at that meeting had no issue with this proposal. They were in support. They also went before the High Park Neighborhood Association in November and received a letter of support that has been shared with the board for review. Mona Lisa and her team have also been actively involved in the community since entering High Park and have attended various different neighborhood associations as well. Our office has received no opposition for this proposal, and at this time we wish to defer judgment to the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fonseca.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. Jordan Frias here from Councilor Ricardo Arroyo's office. We'd like to go on record with full support. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other testimony in support or opposition?
No raised hands, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Hearing none. So just Ms. Better Brazza, BPDA recommends approval. So with that, may I have a motion from the board?
Madam Chair, I'd like to put forward a motion of approval.
May I have a second?
Yes.
Ms. Better Brazza,
Yes.
Mr. Aiken,
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion carries. Best of luck to you.
Thank you very much, members of the board.
Thank you.
Okay, the next is BOA 1370974. The address is 378 to 380 Center Street in Jamaica Plain. This is a remove proviso to the prior petitioner under Article 8, Section 3 for conditional uses. Would the applicant please provide their name and address and describe the request?
Hi, my name is Douglas Salazar, and I am requesting to take out the old owner and to add myself to it. Basically, no changes either in the restaurant.
What's the current restaurant and what are you proposing? I'm
Oh,
sorry.
excuse me. As far as equipment goes in there, as far as food, what I'm doing as far as food, I'm doing vegan and vegetarian, and also regular Mexican food. So it's Mexican food.
Thank you. And are there any changes to the interior that you're doing?
No, none at all.
Okay, any questions from members of the board?
Drawing to adequate. I don't have questions.
Thank you.
Are there any changes to the hours that are proposed?
10 to 11.
And the community's been fine with that?
Yeah, well, I had the abutters meeting, and then I went through whatever meetings that I had to go through, and I didn't have no one object to it.
Thank you. ONS, I believe, should be on here to speak to that, Mr. Aiken.
Okay, sir.
Are there any other questions from the board? With that, may I hear public testimony?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. This applicant has gone under an extensive community process. They managed to receive support from the already established businesses in that of the JPNC zoning subcommittee, excuse me. At this time, the Mayor's Office would like to defer to the judgment of this board. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other raised hands, Ms.?
No raised hands, Madam Chair.
Thank you. With that, may I have a motion?
I'd like to put forward a motion, Madam Chair, of approval.
May I have a second?
Yes.
Ms. Better Brazza,
Yes.
Mr. Aiken,
Yes.
Chair also votes yes, motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, the next case is BOA 1384419. The address is 22 Myrtle Street, Jamaica Plain. This is to construct a larger dormer on the 3rd floor, renovate bathrooms, upgrade some other elements of the house, and plumbing and electrical are included. The violation is Article 55, Section 9. Building height is excessive. Would the applicant please provide their name and address and description for the record?
Yeah, my name is Mike Judge, and I live in 17 Lincolnshire in Canton. But I'm here actually with a homeowner as well in regard to 22 Myrtle Street in Jamaica Plain. And her name's Marielle, and she's actually here and would like to start it off.
Great. If you could share your plans, that would be fantastic.
Sure. Hi, good evening. My name is Mariel Gonzalez, and I live at 22 Myrtle Street, Jamaica Plain. This is a single family house that I plan to live in with my family, my husband and my daughter. And the 3rd floor has 2 finished rooms. However, the only way to access those 2 rooms is a very steep and unsafe stairway that doesn't have a landing on the 3rd floor. It's basically just a gap between the 2 rooms. What we'd like to do is to replace the 2 existing dormers with a shed dormer that gives the needed headroom to build safer stairs so we can fully access the rooms there on the 3rd floor.
Great, thank you. Ms. Barraza, have you reviewed the plans?
Madam Chair, I have reviewed the plans and the drawings are adequate.
Are there any other questions from the board?
I can just throw something in there too as well. I'm the general contractor. To just how steep these stairs are. They're 11-foot risers. 11-inch risers. So it's very steep. 2 railings on each side. It's only a 29-inch wide as well. And it's just it really, to put it in layman's terms, it feels like you're walking on the the top deck of a ferry boat. So and in order to get that safe, we just need to build the shed dormer. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions from the board? With that, may I hear testimony in support or opposition?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. At this time, the Mayor's Office would like to defer to the judgment of the board. Some back information, this applicant went through a community process where they achieved support from the neighborhood. They also met with the JPNC zoning subcommittee and received their support as well. At this time, the Mayor's Office would like to defer to the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Newman. Any other testimony?
We also received a letter of support from an abutter.
Mr. Aiken, do you have those in the record?
Yes, Madam Chair, we have 1 letter of support here.
Thank you. And with that, BPDA's recommendation is approval with the proviso of design review with particular attention to the design of proposed dormer. Are there any other questions from the board? With that, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve with the proviso that the plans are submitted to the BPDA for design review with particular attention to the design of the dormer.
I
May I have a
second that.
Thank you. Ms. Barraza?
Yes.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes, this request seems reasonable for the use of the house.
Thank you. Chair also votes yes. Motion carries. Good luck. Good luck with those
Thank
stairs.
you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next is case BOA 1386357. The address is 56 Boylston Street in Jamaica Plain. This is for the construction of a new rear deck. The violation is Article 55, Section 9, insufficient side yard. Would the applicant please provide their name and address for the record and describe the project?
Chris Hosford, architect, Helios Design Group, 116 St. Paul Street, Boston. I think John and Jennifer are also on the call, the owners. The project is basically an extension.
We would like to introduce the project. Go ahead.
The project is basically extension of an existing rear second story porch. Basically, we're extending a new deck basically in line with the existing house, which is existing non-conforming. And we're insetting it a little bit, but that's really where the violation is drawn. It's from the existing architecture.
Okay. Ms. Barraza, have you reviewed the plans?
Madam Chair, I have reviewed the plans and the drawings are adequate.
Mr. Aiken, any questions?
None.
With that, may I hear public testimony? Is there public testimony?
There is, sorry, Madam Chair, I'm trying to
Thank you.
juggle between a couple of different things here. Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. At this time, the Mayor's Office would like to defer judgment to this board. Our office facilitated a butters meeting on August 10th, where the applicant and their team met and listened to and addressed concerns and questions from direct butters. This proposal went on to meet the JPNC zoning subcommittee back in August and received their support, along with some direct butters. At this time, the Mayor's Office would like to defer to the judgment of this board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Newman. Is there any other testimony?
Madam Chair, I have no raised hands.
Thank you. With that, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to put forward a motion of approval.
May I have a second?
Yes.
Ms. Better Baraza,
Yes.
Mr. Aiken,
Yes.
vote, chair also votes yes, motion carries. Good luck. And are we circling back to the previous
Yes.
case? Thank you.
I'll read BOA 1396190, address 302 316 Bowden Street. This is for removal of a proviso under Article 7, Section 3 for a condition for a variance. Is the applicant here? And if they can provide their name and address, please.
I am here. Wayne Atkinson on 12 Winston Road, Dorchester, Mass.
Great. Can you just confirm what you're planning to do?
Well, basically, we're going to open up a wing shop. It was previously a fish market and a fish sandwich shop. We just asking to remove the proviso so we can take over and do what we need to do.
Great. Is there any interior work that you're doing?
No interior work, just cosmetic.
Okay, great. Any questions from the board?
No questions. Drawings are adequate.
No
May
question.
Thank you. May I hear public testimony? Ashley?
Ashley?
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Ashley Gomes. I'm a Dorchester liaison from the Office of Neighborhood Services. On behalf of the mayor, office would like to defer judgment of the board at this time. Some things, the support from Butters and Main Streets have been supported. We've heard of Butters, Civics in support of the local Main Streets, and all their support has been decided as well and supported to this project.
Thank you, Ashley, and welcome.
Thank you.
Any other testimony?
No other raised hands, Madam Chair.
Okay, with that, may I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve?
I second.
Thank you. Ms. Better Baraza,
Yes.
Mr. Aiken,
Yes.
Chair also votes yes, motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the rediscussions. Just to check, is there anyone here for those, for any of these projects under rediscussions that wants to defer or request a withdrawal?
I
Okay.
do have, oh, sorry. I do have a 37 Jenkins. I believe he's here, but he's not accepting. Let me see. Fatome? I don't know if I'm saying it right.
This is Attorney Ryan Spitz. I'm here for 37 Jenkins.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, BOA 1330550, address is 37 Jenkins Street. This is in South Boston. This is just change use from a single family to a two family with proposed additions and renovations. There are 4 violations, all Article 13, 3-dimensional regulations with floor area ratio excessive, rear yard insufficient, and building height excessive, and usable open spaces insufficient. And there's a note about building code review, but doesn't look like that's a request here. So go ahead, Mr. Spitz, your address and obviously name for the record. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Attorney Ryan Spitz with Adams and Moranci, business address of 168 8th Street, first floor, South Boston. With me today is the architect Shane Losey from Chu and Associates. This proposal in front of us today is to change the occupancy from a single family to a two-family dwelling with ground floor parking for 2 vehicles by way of renovation and in an addition. The proposal is located within an L1 zoning subdistrict, which is from the old base code of South Boston. We have 4 violations that were read into record. FAR 1.0 is what is allowed, and we're proposing a 1.79. We do have a rear yard violation. You can see that the existing backyard has a deck that fills the entire dimension of the yard. The new proposal will now allow for some green space in the rear. Under the shallow lot reduction, when less than 100 feet deep, it would require the proposal to provide 12.5 feet under section 20-8. And this plan proposes a rear yard setback of 12.5 feet. So I believe this violation was in error. Building height is excessive. 35 feet and 3 stories is what is compliant. We're proposing 39.75 feet and 4 stories. We do have a usable open space violation. There's 400 square feet is what is compliant. Our proposal calls for 264. In the original plans, the open space was compliant, but during the community process, we had to remove 2 decks due to the concerns of the neighbors. So that's what has given us the open space violation. One thing that I do want to point out, this L1 zoning sub-district is very close proximity to Article 68, which governs the majority of South Boston. Our FAR and our height violation would actually be in line with Article 68. I want to go run through the plans now. The ground floor would consist of a garage to park 2 vehicles.
Mr. Spitz, can I
Yes.
just interject? So for your, just for your rediscussion and all of the rediscussions, if you could just remind the board why you're back before us, has anything changed from the previous, time you were here, et cetera? That would be helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, so during the community process, we removed those decks. And we made some slight changes and you'll see is when I go through the plans itself, we added some solar ready zones to the actual roof line. And there was a misadvertising. The original set of plans and not the revised set of plans were advertised. So we had to take a deferral to allow for a new advertisement.
Thank you.
So I'm going to continue. I'll continue running through the plans now here. The ground floor would consist of a garage to park 2 vehicles. Which will be accessed by a new proposed 10-foot wide curb cut. In the rear of the garage, you'll notice that we provided a new designation location for a trash storage with a trash compactor. Walkways will also be heated to help with any sort of snow melting. Unit 1 will be approximately 913 square feet, which will consist of the 2nd floor. It will be a 2-bedroom unit. Unit 2 is approximately 1,635 square feet. Consist of the 3rd and the 4th floor. It will be a 3-bedroom with a study and a family room. And again, as I previously stated, the roof plan consists of solar ready zones. At this point in time, I'm going to open it up for any questions or comments from the board.
Thank you. Ms. Barbarazza, have you reviewed the plan?
I have reviewed the plans. Thank you. When you requested a motion to defer, were you in front of the full board?
No, I was not in front of the full board. I was directed that I had to take a motion because the advertisement was not accurate.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about your first ground floor in terms of how it works with parking?
Yes, so if we scroll to, I believe it is, the ground floor is on page. So if we scroll down to page 5 of the plans, and the yellow on the left-hand side will be the actual first floor. So we'll be entering into the garage. And as you can see, as we're going to continue to go from the garage, there's 2 parking spaces.
Can you please go to the first floor, the ground floor that shows the parking, the new proposal? This is existing. Yes, this one.
Yes, yep. So in the yellow, that first floor plan there. So as you see, as we will be entering through Jenkins Street on the right-hand side as coming down Jenkins Street, we'll turn into the first floor. The 2 parking spaces will be located towards the rear of the building, but in the furthest rear of that ground floor is where that dedicated room will be for storage for the trash compactor.
And along that street, what I'm seeing on the Google is you don't really have a condition where you have a curb cut and parking is access to a garage. Typically is on the side of the building. Actually, it's off-street parking. Is that correct?
Yes, there is off-street parking on Jenkins Street.
But this would be the first proposal that introduces front kind of garages
On the
to
street,
enter on the street to enter into parking along the street.
I don't actually recall if there are others that have that parking situation on the street. I know there is a development across the street, but I just don't recall exactly where their parking is located.
Okay. That's all the questions I have. I'm interested to hear in terms of how many letters are on file.
Mr. Aiken?
Hi, Ms. Benabarazza. I'm counting them. We've got a handful, got at least sort of 3 or 4 letters that are in opposition, including the Andrews Square Civic Association. So I'm just sort of working through these as we speak here. Some local residents, and it looks like maybe there'll be some people that are going to be on that Stephanie would know if they're on the hearing who might want to speak based upon the forms that are in here. I don't see any letters of support.
Okay, is there a consensus in the letters that have been filed, the reasoning for the opposition?
And Ms. Benabarazza, do you want me to ask ONS to weigh in here? I think they could probably explain the community process.
Sure,
better.
and then if you can also read on record the BPDA recommendation.
Would you like me to read that first or let them go through it first?
It's up to you, Madam Chair.
Okay, for your reference, BPDA recommends denial without prejudice. Proposal is excessive, address ground floor parking maneuverability and eliminate curb cut. With that, may I hear from ONS on the public process? I think that would be helpful.
Certainly. Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. At this time, the Mayor's Office likes to defer to the judgment of the board. With some background information on the community process. ONS hosted a abutters meeting for 37 Jenkins Street on August 23rd, 2022. A handful of abutters attended. The applicant then went on to meet with the membership of the Andrews Square Civic Association, which voted to oppose this proposal, citing concerns about the height, concerns about what they felt was not enough parking, excessive FAR, and they also felt that there was not enough open space. With that, we defer to the judgment of this board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Newman. Is there anyone else here to speak in support or opposition of this project?
Hi, I would like to speak on behalf of Council President Flynn.
Yes, please.
Council President Flynn would like to go on record in support based on the community process and good faith compromises by the proponent with the neighbors, including front and rear fourth decks removed, as well as the additions of a roof plane with solar-ready zones, trash compactor, and heated walkway to help with snow removal, and a security camera to the front of the building. Council President Flynn acknowledges outstanding concerns from neighbors and respectfully requests that proponent continue to engage the community on quality of life issues during the construction phase. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else to speak in support or opposition of this project?
Good evening, Madam Chair. John Pikatowski, Jenkins Street, Andrews Square, South Boston. I'd like to thank the proponent for their engagement with the city's community process. At this time, after careful review from the ASCA Development Committee, and as it relates to Article 68, this proposed project does not have any special or peculiar circumstances or conditions related to the land or building. There are no reasons of practical difficulty and demonstrable and substantial hardship. Granting the variance would be in harmony with the general purpose would not be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the zoning code. It will be egregious to the neighborhood and or otherwise detrimental to the public welfare. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, may I respond to the BPDA's recommendation?
Can I finish public testimony first? Thank you.
Yes.
Is there anyone else to speak in support or opposition?
No raised hands, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Spitz, if you want to briefly respond.
Yes, so just one thing I just wanted to make it known again to the board, when South Boston was actually rezoned under Article 68, for some apparent reason, a small portion of South Boston was carved out. This one is why they have the underlying zoning. So if in fact this was governed by Article 68, these violations here, except for the open space, would be zoning compliant under Article 68. So again, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Are there any additional questions from members of the board?
Yes, Madam Chair, I would.
Yes, sir.
I'm just trying to understand what's unique about this lot that requires it be built in, proposed in such fashion here, and I don't really understand how the parking works and how that design has sort of taken place to have such limited open space with building coverage such as this. I understand the comment that if it were under Article 68, then it would be largely compliant, but it's not. So that's not really what's in front of us here. So I'm just trying to get a better grasp of what's unique about this lot that's requiring this particular type of design.
Yeah, great. So Shane Losey is actually on with us. He could probably get into the parking scheme a little bit better than most of us. So I can defer to him on that. But what makes this kind of unique is we're looking around, we're directly one house in, or say one storefront in from a major thoroughfare on Old Colony Avenue. Considering a lot of the development in here, if you're looking at this house from a Google map, it seems to be a little bit dwarfed in from all these larger sized buildings. So I think that this development here would be more in line and intact with what's being developed in this neighborhood, in this pocket of right here.
And Shane Losey with Chew and Company. Just to add to that, yeah, I think like Jeff was saying, Ryan was saying, this is that last lot on the street directly across from us. There is the building on the corner of Old Colony and Jenkins. That's, a much more dense than even our building. And it doesn't show in the street view, but if you zoom out to the overhead view, there was a building built a couple of years ago. I think it's 23 Jenkins across the street from us. That's almost exactly similar to what we're doing. And the other aspect of this too is we're bringing in some green space that we didn't have before, as the whole lot was covered with either deck or building.
Mr. Akins, does that answer your question?
Sorry, in the parking. This is kind of a scheme we've done on tight lots before. We've done a couple on Afton Street. What it allows for is each car to park independently. Each car parks side by side in the back, but cars are able to back out and without having tandem spots. It's so you can get without having the other car move.
Do we have BTD's comments and review on this particular project?
Ms. Benabarazza, we do not. We just have the BPDA's recommendation that deals with the ground floor parking maneuverability and the curb cut.
Are there any other questions from the board? Hearing none, I'm going to ask for a motion.
Madam Chair, I'd like to put forward a motion to defer to a full board, given that the project is larger than kind of a small renovation or a small change of use or conditional use. I think it needs to have BTD comment on it and a full board.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay.
Yes, I think that's.
I'm sorry.
No, I think that's appropriate because it seems like there's some design changes have been made here that have kind of taking away open space and adding parking in a way that don't really seem consistent. So I'd like the whole board to see that.
Yeah. I think BTD and BPDA need to be present as well to weigh in.
Thank you. Ms. Better Baraza,
Yes.
Mr. Aiken.
Yes.
Chair also votes yes, motion carries. I don't know, do we normally, oh yeah, this recommendation. All right, thank you.
I think it can, I think you need to give a date, correct, Tom?
I know
But
that-
I think
that's
it
what I
can
was
go
gonna
to
ask.
the,
Madam Chair,
I think it
typically we would defer these cases to the next full board hearing, which would be January 31st. I can't guarantee that Bob D'Amico would be at that hearing, but hopefully he would be. He usually attends most of the hearings, so you'd have a
Yep,
chance
and
to offer his comment.
I recommend that the applicant uses this time to consult with BTD.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
It'll be January 31st.
January 31st at 11:30.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, BOA 1335230. The address is 510 East 8th Street in South Boston. This is the general renovation of an entire historic home, including reorganizing spaces and the addition of a third floor master suite. There are 3 violations. Article 68, Section 29, roof structure restrictions because of modifying existing roof and increasing its height. And 2 Section 8 restrictions, front yard and side yard. The front yard is minimum required is 5, proposed is 1.5. And the side yard minimum required is 3 and proposed are 0.5 on the right side and about 1 foot on the left. Is the applicant here? Can they provide their name and address for the record?
Certainly. Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the board. Attorney John Barry from the law offices, John D. Barry at 1156 Dorchester Ave. The architect of record on this particular project is Chelsea Blanchard with a business address of 599 East Broadway, Unit 105, located in South Boston, 02127. We've been hired by the 2 owners of this house, a young couple that lives in South Boston in this single family. There's no proposed change in use. And I just want to highlight that there's no proposed change in the existing footprint of the home that they purchased. The rear addition that's being proposed is requesting to extend the addition that is already existing on the first floor up through the second and the third floor as well, or what we're going to term the third floor for our proposal. There is a request to add dormers on the third floor, which would allow for a head height for the master suite, which is really the crux of this proposal. John and Haley, that's the couple that lives there, is looking to use that third floor with that head height if the dormers are approved to create a master suite that's both it would add a third bedroom and a bathroom up there. And the addition on the second floor would allow for some reorganization and a walk-in closet for each of the 2 existing bedrooms. In addressing the actual violations, both the front yard and the side yard insufficient violations were pre-existing nonconformances. They are not worsened by the current proposal. The existing roof structure is being changed. The angle of the roof is going to be smaller with the dormers being added, and the height is going to be increased from 29 feet 2 inches to 34 feet 2 3/4 inches. The original proposal did request a roof deck. After community outreach and meeting with the elected officials in the area, that has been designed away. I bring that up because I know there was just a question as to why the proposal was previously deferred. The reason for the deferral was actually that when that decision was made to design away the roof plan, the examiner at ISD that was provided the plans within the time frame had a concern with the survey that was originally provided. So we were requested to there was a determination by the examiner that we should defer in order to have that fixed, provided to the board, and the stamp set that's before all of you is that.
Great. Thank you.
I don't know if there's any questions or comments from the board. And there was a abutters meeting on August 9th. There was a meeting with the leadership of the Gate of Heaven Neighborhood Association on September 19th.
I see ONS. He will tell us about that later. Ms. Better Baraza, do you have any questions on the plans?
No questions. Drawings are adequate.
Thank you. Mr. Aiken, any questions?
I don't have any questions. We have about, it looks like about 8 or so letters in support, and a number of them look like they are from basically direct abutters.
Thank you. With that, I'll open it up to public testimony. Mr.
Yes,
Newman?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. At this time, the Mayor's Office would like to defer judgment to this board. Some background information on the community process. Our office did indeed host an abutters meeting on August 9th, where the proponent answered all questions. Many abutters were in attendance. They went on to send our office 8 letters of support, which is what Mr. Secretary referenced. They also met with the local civic association as well. With that, we defer to the judgment of this board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Newman. Councilor Flynn's office?
Council President Flynn would like to go on record in support based on a good community process and good faith compromises with neighbors and the Gate of Heaven Neighborhood Association to remove the roof deck from the proposal. He respectfully requests that the team proponent continue to work with abutters on any quality of life issues during the construction phase. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other testimony in support or opposition?
I have no raised hands, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And let me see, BPDA recommendations approval with provisos, plans be submitted for design review with attention to dormer scale and pitch. And we've already gone through no roof deck. So with that, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I would like to put forward a motion of approval with 2 proviso. 1, BPDA design review paying special attention to the dormer and pitch. And the second is that there should be no roof deck.
Do I have a second?
Yes, so yes.
Ms. Better Brazza?
Yes.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you, members of the board.
Okay, we have BOA case 1338514, address 6 Thwing Street in Roxbury. This is a proposed driveway curb cut and off-street parking for 2 cars. There are 3 violations. Article 10, Section 1, limitation of area for accessory uses. 2 Article 50 violations in Section 43. The location of the off-street parking is not permitted in the front yard, and its design and maneuverability. And a separate note that it does not provide vehicle impact protection for abutting property at 4th Wing Street. Would the applicant please read their name and address into the record?
Yes, hi, my name is Rufus Falk. I'm the owner. I'm at 6th Wing Street in Roxbury. This is for, we are proposing a curb cut for off-street parking, which requires a variance. The last time I was before the board, there was some concern about the overall property extent, and what I've added to what I originally submitted was is a plan that will show the overall extent of the property, and also show that there is adequate information, or hopefully it will clarify some of the concerns of the board that the driveway proposal is adequate to the you know, what we're looking to do is to get the 2 vehicles in there.
Thank you. Yes,
You see along the,
if I recall, we were concerned about the width and clearance.
yes, that's right. So I provided this drawing that we're looking at is it shows that the opening of 8 plus there was some concern about whether or not the parking in front of the at the front of the house, and you could see there in let's see, not so much this plan, there's another plan, let's see if you could scroll. I think we passed it, it may be up a bit more. That's not it, I'm sorry, let's see. And there are 2 photos, it's more recent, it shows an overall plan view, also with 2 photographs. If you may perhaps scroll down. continue to scroll. Continue, please. The plan is not, I submitted a plan. It should have been uploaded. I don't know why it's not. I can't explain why it had been submitted, but I submitted a plan similar to the one we're looking at, which shows both spaces for the 2 cars. And hopefully that gives you some clarification of the extent. What's not shown, what's missing, based on the drawing I actually sent, from the front Wing Street side to the back of the property, it's the overall dimension is 71.19 feet. And the dimension along the house is 30 feet. The front of the house, from the corner of the house to the street, is 11.25 feet from the corner of the house. I can't explain why your drawing did not include, my drawing was not uploaded, but this is one of the drawings, but there is an additional. I'd like to think that this perhaps will be enough, but if you have any questions, I can answer. But hopefully this is, it gives you some sense of the length of the property.
Madam Chair, can I ask
Yep, go ahead.
I just have a couple questions. Can you clarify, is the on-street parking just on this side of the street? Or is there on-street parking on the opposite side of the street too?
Parking is on one side of the street, which is the side you're looking at.
Okay, and so how many spaces on street will be removed from the curb cut?
Well, if 2 cars, we would take 2 cars off the street. And you must understand the Roxbury area is, we're getting, it's a very crowded area. And
I understand.
two vehicles off the street would be.
But you also
I
have.
think you misunderstood David's question. I
Yes,
think it's 1 car that would be eliminated from public parking. And I think the applicant was suggesting that he would be removing 2 potential public parking spaces that he probably currently uses. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm concerned at the loss of on-street parking for the curb cut. And members of the board, I'd also like to point out that BTD did weigh in regarding the location of the spaces still being in the front yard and that being problematic.
I don't understand. You're saying that there's not enough room. What evidence do you have that it's not enough room? The current,
I believe Mr. Aiken's comment from BTD was about the front yard parking.
Right. There wouldn't be any front row parking. I don't understand where you see that. Isn't it possible?
Well, just for clarification, where you have noted A, where it says, where it's red right in front of us, the 8 by 20 space, you would have a vehicle there, and zoning does not allow front yard parking.
Well,
I'm just trying to clarify.
I understand.
I'm not making an opinion. I'm just trying to clarify.
Well, see,
what is
I'm
referred.
sort of what's happening right now is I don't see the drawing, and what I have in front of me is a better explanation, and I don't understand why it wasn't submitted. I'm just going to put it in front of the camera, which should have been in front of you. This drawing, I know you can't see it, but I'm just saying it's not what I sent in. But first of all, I'm hoping you could at least look at this as at least 1 vehicle would provide. I mean, 1 vehicle could, at a minimum, provide parking. And the thing is, I've lived on the street. I've lived in Roxbury for over 26 years, and it's not getting any better. I'm applying for a variance to provide at least a minimum of 1 spot. And I, you know, the thing is it's just that the spot was applied for and approved previously. I'm just a homeowner, just trying to come home every day and provide a safe parking spot for myself. And
Mr. Falk, understood.
it's maybe
Understood.
I'm just not understanding the issue.
Thank you.
The space.
Are there additional questions
I
from
do
members
have,
of the board?
I do have some questions.
Thank you.
So were you able to get a support from your neighbor at 4 Twingen Street?
My neighbors have not changed since the last time it was approved. And if you're looking for support in writing, I mean, verbally we have had no issue. And the thing I would say, if you've got any letters that says that I just don't see that as an issue. I've not had an issue with any of my neighbors, and they are aware of what I've been trying to do. I posted the posters up to let everyone know that this is what I'm proposing.
Thank you, Mr. Falk. She just asked a direct question about your neighbor at 4th Wing Street, not all your neighbors.
There's no issue.
There's no issue. Okay. And David, do we have an email or a letter from 4 Twing Street?
No, we don't have
file?
anything. We have the letter from BTD, and then we have a letter from someone who lives 1 street over from Highland Street. One letter, but that was on file from someone on Fulda Street from November in support. That's all we have.
Great, thank you. And then my other question is the photo montages that we're seeing in front of us. Is this the actual vehicle on the property, or did you just kind of cut and paste?
Excuse me?
The photos that we're seeing of the car along the aisle, are those or in the aisle, like what I'm seeing in front of me, is that your actual car, or did you photo montage it in the space to show us
There's no
clearance?
photo montage. It's an actual photograph
of your car.
Of my car.
Thank you.
Right, so that means that just to show us that there's room, you went over the curb and you took photos for us just to see.
Yes, I want you to understand that there is room.
Correct. Okay.
Perhaps not meeting, what we're looking for, but that's the reason I'm applying for the variance.
Right. I just wanted to see how accurate. So that's great. You answered my question. I wanted to make sure that the photo was your actual car. Thank you.
Yes, I would not have submitted any other information.
Of course. Any other questions from the board? Hearing none, I'll take public testimony.
Yes, good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. Keisha Santana from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. Some background on the community process is there was previously an abutters meeting hosted in which the applicant received support from abutters. This was prior to refiling, and because of the same proposal, I did not host an additional abutters meeting. But my understanding is the applicant did receive support from abutters and signatures as well. And at this time, we would like to defer judgment to the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any additional testimony?
I have no raised hands, Madam Chair.
Are there any other questions from the board?
I have one more question. I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
Let's assume in the future that your abutter puts up a fence right on the property line. Let's just say they don't want to see the car anymore. Do you have sufficient room to open your car door? And the reason I'm saying this is just because BTD does have standards for minimum aisle, which should be at 10 feet. And I just want to confirm that you would have room to open your door if there was to be a fence put up on your abutter property.
I would assume so. I don't. I have a fence up now, so I'm not sure. It's a hypothetical question. Until that happens, I couldn't tell you that, but I would say yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Aiken, any additional questions?
No, I don't have any additional questions. Thank you.
Okay, with
And
that.
did you read
yes.
the BTD?
I did not. I'm sorry.
Okay.
BPDA recommends denial for the reasons of front yard parking and does not meet BTD standards. With that, may I have a motion from the board?
I would like to put forward a motion of approval with a proviso that it would be only for one car to eliminate the front yard parking.
Do I have a second?
No.
Tom, what is the process? Do
Motion
we need-
fails, Madam Chair, but it seems, I don't know if we'll be able to reach, if the board can't reach agreement on a motion, we would defer to the full board to let them hear the case.
Yeah, I'd make a motion to defer it to the full board so that the rest of them can hear.
I second that.
All right, Ms. Better Baraza,
Yes.
First.
Mr. Aiken,
Yes, yes, I think that given the recommendations from BTD and BPDA and the removal of on-street parking to add this parking and the problem with the front yard setback piece there. Yes, motion to defer, please.
you're seconding.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So Ms. Bedraza, you said yes. Mr. Aiken, yes. Chair, yes. Motion carries. Do you have a date for Mr. Falk?
It would be the January 31st at 11:30 a.m.
Tom, do we need to be clear to the applicant in regards to why we're deferring to a full board in terms of the requirements for a 3-member board? If there's that you.
Yes,
Can
thank
you
you.
just,
Brad.
for the record, just so the applicant, because this would be their third time coming in front, and I think they need to understand kind of the rules of engagement, let's say, with our board.
Yes, Ms. Better Baraza. So Mr. Falk, basically the board is, they can't come to an agreement at the subcommittee here. So like there's some people in support and some in opposition. So they want the full board to be able to consider your proposal at the next hearing, which will be on the 31st. And that'll give everyone who's on the board a chance to weigh in on your proposal. So
basically in the subcommittee, you need 3 board members to unanimously vote in a particular way.
Yes. So
Okay. I just wanted for it to be for the record, so everyone understands our process.
Thank you, Ms. Better and Mr. Broom. Okay, one more case, final case.
All right, thank you. This is BOA 1368532. The address is 60 Chesterfield Street in Hyde Park. This is a renovation and an addition. There are 5 Article 69, Section 9 violations: floor area ratio excessive, building height, number of stories excessive, front yard insufficient, side yard insufficient, rear yard insufficient. Would the applicant please provide their name and address and description of the request?
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Eileen Rosa from Rosa Design and Construction. Our address is 286 Blue Hill Avenue, Milton, and I'm the residential designer representing the owners, Taina and Antonio Lugo. 60 Chesterfield is their primary residence, and due to the size of their family, their intention is to propose an extension of living space of their single-family home by demolishing an existing 12 by 10 first floor addition and build a approximately 20 by 13 addition at the rear of the house from the basement to the second floor. Also the attic area they want to extend the living space in the existing attic area by adding 2 dormers, one on each side of the existing A-frame roof. So as mentioned, there were 5 violations cited for floor area ratio. What's allowed in the area, it's 0.5 and we are proposing 0.6. As far as building height in stories, what's allowed in the area, it's 2.5, and due to the extension of living space in the attic, we're proposing 3. Front yard, it's the requirement is 25, the existing is 15, and we keep it at 15. It's just by the fact that we're adding a second floor balcony per se, or deck right above the existing one. Side yard, the requirement is 10 feet. the existing is 3'7" on the left side. That's the worst case scenario. And we're proposing 3'7" because we are continuing with the current setback at the addition at the rear. And then as far as rear yard insufficient, it's because what's allowed there, it's 40 feet. The existing is 30. We are proposing 21 feet on the first floor addition, which is the basement access, and 27 feet at the two-story addition. I'm open for any questions.
Thank you. Just to confirm, this is remaining a one family.
Correct.
Thank you. Ms. Better-Baranza, have you reviewed the plans?
Madam Chair, I have no questions.
Okay. Mr. Aiken, do you have any questions?
I guess my question would just be why was this deferred? Why did it come back? What's changed?
Yeah, we basically there was a misunderstanding with the previous plan submitted. The plan submitted for once for review only. But what changed was the basement area that it was not showing as finished and extended. And that was pretty much it, the basement area, that floor. Other than that was pretty much the same.
Thank you. Any additional questions? Okay. With that, may I hear public testimony?
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. This is Danielle Fonseca with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. I hosted an abutters meeting for this proposal on September 14th of 2022. The applicants also have reached out to the Reedville Neighborhood Watch community group. They are currently inactive for this season, that community group. So they did not receive a response from the community group, but we have not received any letters of opposition or support for this proposal. And at this time, we'd like to defer judgment to the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any additional testimony? Francis? All right, hearing none. Any other questions from the board before a motion?
Madam Chair, I apologize. I do have one, Melissa Luna.
Okay, thank you. May I hear from
Melissa? Melissa, you've been unmuted. If you can state your name and address for the record, please.
Sure. My name is Melissa Luna. I'm at 17 Danny Road. We are abutters to the backyard of the proposed project. Just wanting to note that not necessarily in opposition, but we haven't had one conversation with our neighbor about the build, and similarly with other residents on Danny Road. So I do think there's some concerns and questions about this project, but haven't had a conversation with our neighbor about the expansion. And in particular, the concern for us is around the extension into the backyard and what the impact it would have on our property.
Do you have any response before we make a motion? Does the proponent have a response?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is the first time we said we went through the abutters meeting, as Danielle Fonseca stated, but we're open for, if you have any comments or questions, we can gladly share with you and go through this together.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Okay, so there's no representation from that street.
Madam Chair, can I ask a
Yep,
question? I guess in terms of the rear changes there, you have 30-foot existing, you're going to 21 proposed on the first floor, 27 on the, I guess, second and third. Is that it? How did you come to the conclusion that that's sort of the minimum needed for what you're requesting?
I'm sorry, what was your question again?
You have allowable is 40 feet in the rear. You have 30 feet existing. You took us through a 20-foot to 27-foot proposed variation in the setback there from the plans. I'm just wondering how you concluded that that's sort of the minimum needed for the project.
Oh, well, but basically due to the addition that was done and the pre-existing addition that we're demolishing. I'm sorry, I don't think I'm quite understanding your question, and I hope I answered.
He's talking about how you came, I think, how you came to the footage of the setback, based on the existing conditions. How did you arrive at that number? Is that versus a smaller number, et cetera?
Oh, well, based on the plot plan provided, as you can see, it specifies that the new setbacks being proposed.
I didn't catch all of that.
He's still unclear with your response, Ms.
I just
Rosa.
didn't hear, the response didn't come through
Hear
clearly.
it, sorry.
Oh, okay, well, there's supposed to be a plot plan as part of the package, certified plot plan, which shows the proposed setback.
But you're not violating the rear setback. It's still at 15.
The rear, it's 40, what's allowed there, the requirement, and we're proposing 20, 21, and 27.
I think your numbers are off in this cover page. It doesn't say 21, 27. It says existing rear yard depth 15 and then proposed 15. So I think the numbers are just
Yeah,
incorrect.
it's probably off, yeah.
Yep, it's incorrect. But I think just to help you, Ms. Rosa, to answer David's question, if you just look at the family room, it looks like they used couches as a way to proportion the rear addition. Is that fair to say? Or I'm just helping Ms. Rosa out as an architect. But I think it's enough setback from the rear that it shouldn't cause too much issues with your rear abutters. But I do encourage you to continue with conversations with all your abutters and inform them of the process.
Yep.
Right.
Okay, any other questions from the board?
Can you please read the BPDA recommendation as well on the record?
I knew you were going to ask that, and I don't have one. I don't know if
Yeah.
Mr. Aiken does.
No, Ms. Benabarazza, we do not have one.
Yeah, sorry, there was none. I know. With that, I'm gonna entertain a motion.
Okay, I would like to put forward a motion of approval with BPDA design review.
Is there a second?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Benabarazza,
Yes.
Mr. Aiken.
Yes.
Chair also votes yes. Motion carries. Good luck. And thank you all.
All right, congratulations, everyone.
All right, we've survived. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I